What's up, guys, and welcome back to my reading journey. Hope we're all doing fine. And today we're gonna finish with the Atavism of John Tom Little Bear. It's gonna be the final part, so let's do this. At the hotel, we found a mass meeting of 5 infuriated citizens, chewing tobacco and denouncing the outrage. Most of the town was asleep by 10 o'clock. I talks the lady some quiet and tells her I will take 1 o'clock train for the next town, 40 miles east, for it is likely that the esteemed Mr. Connors will drive there to take the cars. I don't know, I tells her, but what he has legal rights. But if I find him, I can give him an illegal laugh in the eye and tie him up for a day or two, anyhow, on a disturbable of the peace proposition. Mrs. Connors goes inside and cries with the landlord's wife, who is fixing some catnip tea that will make everything all right for the poor dear. The landlord comes out to the porch, thumbing his one suspender, and says to me, "Ain't had so much excitements in town since Bedford Street gal's wife swallowed a spring lizard." I seen him through the window hit her with the buggy whip and everything. What's that suit of clothes? What's that suit of clothes? Cost you got on. What's the suit of clothes? Cost you got on. W. Interesting. Appears like we'd have some rain, don't it? Say, Doc, that Indian if you're yours on a kind of whiz tonight. Ain't he? He comes along just before you did. I told him about this here occurrence. He gives a curse, kind of a hood, and trotted off. I guess our constable, I'll have him in the lockup for morning. I thought I'd sit on the porch and wait for the 1 o'clock train. I wasn't feeling saturated with mirth. Here was John Tom on one of his sprees. And this kidnapping business losing sleep for me. But then I'm always having trouble with other people's troubles. Sorry. Every few minutes, Mrs. Connors would come out on the porch and look down the road the way the buggy went, like she expected to see that kid coming back on a white pony with a red apple in his hand. Now, wasn't that like a woman? And that brings up cats. I saw a mouse going in the hole, says Mrs. Cat. You can go to prize up a plank. Prize up a plank over there, if you like. I'll watch the hole. About a quarter to 1 o'clock, the lady comes out again, restless, crying easy, as females do for their own amusement, and she looks down that road again and listens. Now, madame, says I, there is no use watching cold wheel tracks. By this time, they are halfway to... Hush, she says, holding up her hand. By this time, they are halfway to... Hush, she says, holding up her hand. And I do hear something coming flip-flop in the dark. And then there's the awfulest whoop ever heard outside of Madison Square Garden at a Buffalo Bill matinee. And up the steps and on the porch jumps the disrespectable Indian. The lamp in the hall shines on him, and I fail to recognize Mr. G.T. Little Bear, alumnus of the class of 91st. What I see is a Cherokee brave. The warpath is what he has been traveling. Firewater and other things have got him going. His buckskin is hanging in strings, and his feathers are mixed up like a frizzly hands. The dust of miles is on his moccasins, and the light in his eye is kinda aborigines wear. But in his arms he brings that kid, his eyes half closed, with his little shoes dangling. And one hand fast around the Indian's collar. Papoose, says John Tom, and I notice that the flowers of the white man's syntax have left his tongue. He's the original proposition in bear's claws and copper collar. Me bring, says he, and he lays the kid in his mother's arms. Run 15 mile, says John Tom. Oh, catch white man, bring papoose. A little woman is an extremities of gladness. She must wake up that stir-up trouble youngster and hug him and make proclamation that he is his mama's own precious treasure. I was about to ask a question, but I looked at Mr. Little Bear, and my eye caught the sight of something in his belt. Now, go to bed, madame, says I, and this get about youngster likewise. Get about youngster likewise. For there's no more danger in the kidnapping business is not what it was earlier in the night. I inveigled John Tom down to camp quick, and when he tumbled over asleep, I got I got that thing out of his belt and disposed of it where the eye of education can't see it. For even if the football colleges disapprove of the art of scalp talking in their curriculums. It is 10 o'clock next day when John Tom wakes up and looks around. I'm glad to see the 19th century in his eye again. What was it, Jeff? He asked. Hip firewater, says I. John Tom frowns and thinks a little. Combined, says he directly, with an interesting little psychological shake-up known as reversion, to type. I remember now. Have they gone yet? On the 7:30 train, I answers. Oh, says John Tom, better so. Pale face, bring big chief, wish, hip da, a little bromoseltzer. And then he'll take up the red man's burden again. Alright, guys. Thank you for joining me today on this final part of this long story, and we're gonna continue with the new one, the marionettes, but tomorrow. Thank you for joining me today. See you tomorrow. Bye.